Okay guys, welcome to today's video. I know it's been a while, I haven't been doing videos lately, but today we are returning to doing some instrument repair. So test instruments, not instrument clusters. I have here a XiTron or XiTron, however you would like to say it. Three-phase power analyzer. It's a 2553 model. This power analyzer was thrown in the trash because it no longer turned on. So it doesn't work, supposedly. So let's try putting some power on it and see if it comes up. But before we really do that, for anybody that's just curious, it's a regular viewer of the channel, but really doesn't work with AC power. These three-phase power analyzers like this, you would use them for, first of all, looking at your input voltage and input current, but also your harmonics and your power factor correction and all of that to see if your power supply is healthy that you're working on. So this is a pretty useful piece of kit. But yeah, let's tear into this and take a look, see if we can fix it, figure out what's wrong with it. All right, so let's get a kind of overview here. The power plug in the back is just a little barrel jack, so that's what I have hooked up there. And we have the power switch on and it's not coming on. So it does, in fact, not turn on. And so, yeah, I mean, it does seem like it doesn't work at first glance. It's still got a valid calibration on there, so it is due for calibration in October there. So yeah, we have a little bit of time till the calibration's out, and surprisingly, there's actually no calibration void stickers anywhere on this thing, so I can take this thing apart and not lose my calibration. Obviously, that would be in bad faith to do that, to claim it was still calibrated, but yes, this one just so happens to not have any stickers that stop me from doing it. It is a Trescal calibration that's on there. So yeah, we got the plug on there. One of the things I did notice just kind of looking at it is if I hold it just right, we do power up. So it seems like we may just have a bad wire, bad connection there on the barrel jack on the rear, but we'll dig into that and take a better look at it, see what it looks like apart. So let's open this thing up. I've already taken out the screws to save you guys time, but I will show you where they all are. I hate when videos don't show you where the screws were. So for taking this thing apart to do our repair that we're going to do, or do whatever we attempt to do, we have to take these 5 screws off here. This one can stay on, and then underneath it, you have to take these 4 screws off there. These all just hold the PCB to this base plate here. So we can leave these screws in, and same with that screw there. It can stay in. The screws in the front can all stay in as well. All right, so we have it all apart. Let's take a look at this power. So the power goes from here to, it looks like we have some sort of filter here, and then comes up to the switch, because it goes directly from there to the switch. So this must just be some common mode filter or something underneath here. We can take a better look at it here in just a moment. And then you have a thicker gauge wire for the switch than you do for the power even coming into it. That's kind of funny. Probably but just because of the connectors they used there. But yeah, let's just take this thing off of here and replace it. They're cheap enough. There's no point in trying to really salvage this one. We'll just put a new one on there. Hopefully of a better quality, but who knows. So yeah, we have it's positive for the center tap, and then negative for the outer ring, which is marked on the outside there. So let's get this thing off of there and just replace it. That's going to be the simplest course of action. We could probably just pry that wiper, and of course we're going to use the wrong tool for every job, some pliers, and see if we can get that loose. All right, so that's the old connector right there. And my new one's here. Big question is, does it fit? And it does, so that was the only thing I wasn't sure of. Okay, so just to make sure we get it right, we're gonna have just touching the center. There's that. Touching the ring, there's that. So the ground is the ring, and the center is the positive. So the top one's the positive. So let's get that soldered on there. Oh, before we forget, let's put the... So there we go. There's the new connector mounted. I always forget to put those nuts on there first. So yep, still got it in the same orientation. And okay, so that replaces that connector. I'm not going to bother with the heat shrink. It really doesn't need it. All right. And let's get that IDC connector hooked back up. And there we go. It turns on. And yep, no longer have a problem there. So yeah, we just had a bad connector there. That's all that is. So very simple and cheap repair here on this. I don't know if we will always be this lucky with these, but definitely, oh, you can just see just how corroded the connector is here. So it's definitely just this cheap metal just corroded away there. And so it's this wiper not making contact. So you actually probably could clean this up with some contact cleaner and still use this one. But like I said, they're cheap enough to just put a new one in there and be done with it. So yeah, these things are great. Okay, well, since we have some extra time, since it was such a simple repair, let's turn this thing on and go through the operation a little bit. So this thing's a 3-phase power analyzer, but you can also set it up as single phase. I don't have any power going into it right now, so we don't get a fundamental frequency or anything. A lot of stuff's unavailable just because we don't have power on there. So let's go through your setup. Your first one is your interface. The way the menu works here is this next kind of cycles you through these main screens here. And then once you get to like this last screen, which is the setting screen, you use the cursor and it just moves it down. It just is a down on the cursor. And so we go to setup here and we can change our wiring. So to do that, instead of hitting cursor, you're going to hit change. You can go 1-phase 3-wire, 1-phase single wire, 3-phase 3-wire, and 3-phase 4-wire. So that would be what I have here in my office. So that's what we'll be using. And then 20 hertz to 75 kilohertz is the next one. You can change the range there as well. Got 20 hertz to 5 kilohertz, 2 hertz to 2 kilohertz, and 0.2 to 200, and 0.2 to 20. So we'll just leave it at that. AC only, averaging some results, and the sync source. So you can change what you're syncing on. You can sync on current and a couple of other things. 50 hertz, 60 hertz, 400 hertz, no harmonics. Okay, so that's done with the settings in that menu. We can go back down now and go to our current inputs. There's a couple of different current inputs there on the back. You have your internal inputs, which go through your AC, and then your source is what you change it to. And then you have external amps, and then you have external volts. Those are for the BNC connectors on the back, depending on how you have it set up. And then you have your back to the original. And then the last two are your calibration, your product fitted options. It just shows you what was on here from the factory. So this has all of the options fitted in this one. So we can go next, and that takes us back to kind of the home screen here. You have a bunch of different measurements you can get here. And then again, you have more measurements you can get on this one, and then some zoom there. And yeah, so you get your power factor and everything right here. So this thing's like super useful if you are working on some sort of AC power supply and you want to see if it's healthy, because the power factor will always tell you if it's healthy, as long as it was designed with power factor in mind. Because if your power factor's way off, you know your PFC is not working, you know, it's not switching right or something. So yeah, these things are super, super useful when you're working on an AC power supply, or if you're working on a power factor correction, pretty much like industry standard. These XiTrons, or XiTron, however you want to say it, they've been purchased by Vitrek, I think is how you say the new company's name, and the Vitrek has a new model, significantly better than this, but also significantly more expensive. That Vitrek, the PA 9000 series or 900 series, this thing's run like $8,000 once you've really fitted them out with all the cards, because those things are, it's like a mainframe with cards that go inside it. But those things are really cool too, because, you know, at first those Vitreks sound really expensive, but when you think about what you can do with them, they're actually really affordable, because you can use them as DMMs as well, and it takes the place of 5 DMMs with all the inputs it has on there. So, I mean, if you have to buy 5 key sites or 1 of those, you may be a little better off. So it depends on what you need and what you're looking for, but yeah, I do like these. They are older and people are getting away from them and going to their new products, but they do still have purpose. The one downside I have to these is like GPIB is like your option on the back for communication. So let's turn it off and take a look at our connections here on the back. So set this down and turn it around. So this is your 12-volt input that we just repaired on here. You have a parallel printer port out, and you have GPIB. Those are your COM there. You can hook up a parallel printer and print to it, and you can use GPIB to communicate with it. And that's it. You don't have serial, you don't have USB, you don't have Ethernet. I really wish it had RS-232. I prefer RS-232 over GPIB, but I do actually have a GPIB card to put in the back of my computer. So maybe if I ever do a AC power repair, we may see this on the channel with that going into the computer. So yeah, here's where your phases all hook up: phase A, B, C, and neutral. And then you also have an earth ground, and you have a port for earth ground. And these are those external current shunts I was mentioning earlier. You have some power here as well. So that way you can power some externally powered current shunts. So it's got pretty much everything you would need to do any of your AC power measurements. This thing is like, in the hobby world, you could compare this to a kilowatt, but on steroids. So it's a kilowatt with a lot of features. But yeah, you won't see these in the hobby space much. There's just not a lot of use for this in the hobby space, except for if you're working on AC power sources, and a lot of hobbyists avoid that because of the dangers that come with it. So yeah, definitely. I thought this was going to be a little bit more interesting of a repair than it was. It was just a simple tired connector here. It looks like it's just super corroded inside there. Probably could have fixed it with some deoxid, but these things are so cheap. Just replace it and be done with it, because if it's corroded once, that means it's going to corrode again. Just not worth cleaning it up to save it. Just chunk it, put a new one on there, and move on with life. All right, well, I hope that this repair wasn't too simple for you guys. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more complex repair. Nothing too complicated, but like, I don't know, a blown fuse or something, you know, something a little bit more than just a dirty connector that needed to be replaced. I do think that replacing the connector is the right call and not trying to clean it up, because if it's corroded on you once, it's going to corrode again. I hope you guys liked seeing how the menus are set up and kind of the operation there. I just wanted to give a little bit more content there, so that way it wasn't just like a 5-minute like, oh, here's a bad connector and throw it out. I was planning on this being a little bit more complicated of a repair than that, but hey, it needed it. It did need that replaced. I really don't think cleaning it up would have been the right call. And we now have a working power analyzer. I'm definitely going to keep it around. I'm not going to sell it. So yeah, we'll probably see it again here on the channel. I hope you guys liked the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.